Scientific work and libraries. A lot of questions around this topic, but we will answer them in this video because I have invited two experts in this field, so stay tuned. So I'm here now with Ulli Wunder, and Ulli, can you just quickly introduce yourself? What are you doing at IU? What is your job?
As mentioned, my name is Ulli Wunder, and I'm the director of the Library and Information Services at IU, and I'm responsible for the best team ever. And we are all together supporting the students and also the lecturers and staff in research, in licensing, and just support in all areas of the library.
Can you just explain why we have to cite our sources in our academic works?
It's very important because if any other reader is going to read the article, he or she should be able to find all the resources which were used in this article to dive a little bit deeper in it, or for checking the facts, for example. And it's all about my own credibility, because I want to publish this article for the other experts, and they are reading this article, and yes, everything should be transparent and helps my reputation in the scientific area.
I got it, but how do I know if a quote is used in a text actually?
Normally it's very easy to identify, because if it's a direct citation, you can see it because there are some quotation marks at the beginning and the end of the citation. And after this, there's the information about the resource which was used. And if you have an indirect citation, for example, this is if you just mention the content or the idea of the original, then there's also the information where the reader, for example, can find the original resource.
What information is then actually included in the citation of a source that I can find it?
It depends on the resource. If it's, for example, a book, then usually it's the author and the book title, and also the information about the page where the quoted source is, or not source, the quoted information is from. And if it's, for example, a journal article, then you have the title of the journal, and then the title of the specific journal article, including the publishing date and also the volume, for example. Yes, and if you have a compilation, for example, then you have the title of the compilation and also the name of the author of the chapter. Yeah. Yes, and if I use a website, for example, there must be I included the link to the place where you've got the information and all the information about the website when it was updated at the last date. And
I often hear about plagiarism. What is it and why should I avoid it actually?
It really can have major consequences, because you can lose your academic rank, you can fail your examination, for example. And this is when you just tell the reader, or you, if you tell the reader, then this would be your own information, but it is not. So it's very important to cite it in a proper way. You always have to be able to identify the information you have taken from another resource, from another book or journal article.
So why do so many pupils and students have difficulties with citing sources?
I think it's all about the fear on one hand, and on the other hand, it's all about not to be used of citations. So you have to exercise a little bit with the citations and read the citation guidelines, for example. Usually each university has one, and there are different styles, and sometimes databases can also help you with the style you need to use for your scientific work. Yes, sometimes people also don't know how to get the right information out of the original and how to use the best format for this. So it's all about exercising. You can learn it, you can improve the skills, and then we will be fine.
So one question about this is, can I actually plagiarize my own work?
Yes, you can do that. It's called self-plagiarism, and it means it doesn't mean that, but it's very important that you cite it in a proper way. So everyone can identify this, that it's not from the actual scientific work, but it's from another one before. So the same rules are given, and it's very important that you use the correct citation.
Even on my own stuff, yeah, makes absolutely sense. So now I'm here with Ulrike Neuendorf. Can you please introduce yourself? What are you doing? What is your job at IU?
Hello, I'm working in the Library and Information Services. So my job is basically to support students and staff in anything concerning the online library and how to research scientific literature. I'm always there to support.
So you're there to help.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions prepared. So can you please explain what a monograph is?
Okay, so a monograph is basically a book, usually on one particular topic. So mono kind of means one, and it's on one topic, and it's authored by one or more authors. So that means those authors will have had to have written the book together. That's what a monograph is.
Interesting. Can a monograph be written only by one or also more than one author? You already said that.
Yes, so basically it can be written, a monograph can be written by more than one author. The only thing is that they would have had to have written it together. So everybody would have had to have made a contribution. There's a difference between a monograph and a compilation or an edited volume. In an edited volume, you also have several authors, but they usually only make their own contribution. So by writing, for example, one particular section or chapter.
Good. Could you explain in more detail what an edited book at the IU actually is?
So an edited book or an edited volume it looks very similar to a monograph. So it's also just a book, but the difference is that there are usually several authors that have contributed to the book, and they may have written a chapter or section, and all their contributions are compiled by an editor, and that's why it's called a compilation or an edited volume.
Nice. What's the best way to do research when I'm looking for certain informations, actually?
So research, really kind of as the word says, it just means searching for something, so searching for information. And the most important thing is to kind of focus on your search terms. So what are you actually looking for? And to kind of take a good look at the type of terms that you're going to use in your search. And also, it's very important to not get overwhelmed by the amount of results that you get. So if you type in particular search terms, sometimes you might get a lot of results. And the key here is to try and kind of narrow down your results by using some of the filters that we have. And these could, for example, include selecting a certain time frame, selecting a particular type of literature, so a scientific article or maybe an ebook. And that already helps to reduce the amount of information that you're getting.
Nice. That sounds actually very helpful. What is a library catalog at the IU then?
So the library catalog is basically the place that contains everything that the library has licensed. So that means all the ebooks, books, scientific articles. And what you can do with the library catalog is look for specific information. So you can find out information about what's available by certain authors, what's available for certain titles, whether those ebooks are available through a certain database, or perhaps you might be looking for a print book. You can check whether that print book is available and where you can find it, which shelf number, and so on.
What is then actually the difference, or what does a discovery service actually mean in this context?
So the discovery service is basically a meta search engine. And what that means is that it accesses all the different databases and platforms that we have licensed by using just one index. So when you're entering a search term, all the resources that are available to us will be searched in one go. So it's just a kind of an easier way to conduct your search.
Sounds very helpful. Are there any other tips you can give the students out there?
Yes, sure. I think the main thing is to be well prepared. As I said, it's really good to really take some time to look at the type of search terms that you're searching for. You may want to use a thesaurus. That means you might want to look for synonyms or similar words to conduct your search. And perhaps also make use of so one really useful tip to consider when you're doing a search is to perhaps, if you're working with a compiled book or an edited volume, when you're entering the search, make sure to look for the overall title of that book and not just the chapter, because it's more likely that you will find what you're looking for.
A little bit different topic now. Could you please tell me what full texts are?
I think the main objective, if you are doing some research and you want to have access to the full content of a resource like a journal article or a book or a chapter or something, then if you have full access, then this term is called full text.
Sounds logic, to be honest. So
not for everyone.
That's why we're telling you.
Yeah.
So if I came across a website where I can only read part of a document and I don't know, or I don't have access to the whole full text there, what can I do to read the whole text actually?
You could just give it a try to put the whole title within one row of the search engine you use and add the .pdf into the row and then try. And usually, or not usually, maybe very often you will get the full text, but you need to make sure that the person who owns the rights of the full text is okay with you having the access to this document.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a disclaimer or some information about the Creative Commons information.
Are there other ways to access full texts that you can recommend?
Go to the library, and usually they have a big collection, and this may include also the full text. So maybe they have print journals, maybe they have online journals, which you can access through a database. And then you have access to the full text. Another option would be to ask the library if they simply can buy the stuff, or you go to the publisher's website and buy the article. It's a little bit expensive, of course. You could ask the library to order the article at another library. It's called interlibrary loan service. You have to pay a small fee for that. And sometimes there's the option to use open access resources. So if you go to the publisher's website, for example, to Springer or De Gruyter, then they have a wide range of open access resources you can use. So maybe you're just lucky and just find the full text.
Very good tips. Very surprised how many ways there are. Is there anything else you would like to say to our viewers, or any tips you can give to them out there?
It's everything about just a learning experience. You can just try and error and just start your research. And if it's working well, great. If it's not working, then you have to use different search terms, or maybe you can just come to the library and ask for help, because usually we as librarians are very happy to support our students and also every other people who may be interested in getting information. Yeah, so there are so many ways, and we are happy to help.
So don't be shy, just ask.
Yes, please.
And I'm very thankful that you joined me today and all of these great tips. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So a little bit of a different topic. Can you explain what open access means in science?
Open access is quite a new development. What it really means is that scientific literature, especially scientific articles or sometimes even ebooks, are made freely accessible to the public, and that allows people other than professionals or university lecturers, for example, to access it, but instead a very wide audience can access the work.
Sounds very good. And what are actually the advantages of the usage of these open access?
Yeah, so the number one use is, of course, that almost anybody can access scientific information. But it also allows researchers to publish their research more easily and quickly, and of course to a wider audience. It just has made science much more publicly available.
Sounds very good. Are there already publishers that offer these open access?
Yes, there are. There's many of the very big publishers out there that are very prominent in the scientific world, offering open access resources. For example, PLOS is one of them. They have a large selection of biological literature, medicine, all sorts of resources. But that's just one of many examples. Elsevier or Springer Nature, they all offer open access resources.
Very interesting. And how can you get hold of open access publications or full text in this case?
There's actually two main ways. The first way is that you just simply look at the publisher's website. So, for example, if you're interested in a publication, maybe from Dick Reuter or Springer, then you can just simply go and look for the open access literature that they offer online. There's also a search engine which is called Base, and you can simply type your search in there and look for a specific title, or even just do a thematic search, so look for a certain subject and find open access literature.
Very interesting. It sounds very promising, but are there actually also disadvantages of open access?
Yes, like with everything, there's always some downsides as well. There is the problem that sometimes quality might suffer a little bit in open access. So since there's quite a lot of pressure on researchers nowadays to publish open access and to do so quickly, the output might not be as good because quite a lot of the time the peer review process, which is one of the main quality criteria, might be too short or not thorough enough. But at the end of the day, it's kind of also up to the scientists to really take a good look at where they're publishing, because there is a problem with predatory publishers. Those are kind of, almost criminal organizations that abuse that system of open access publishing. But yeah, overall, I would say open science is a good thing.
Thanks a lot for those insights, but can you give us a little glimpse into the future? How will open access develop over the next 10 years?
I would say it will definitely become more and more prominent. Everything points towards the fact that most of the research that is being published is going to be available as an open access source in the future. It's kind of up to the individual to really make well-informed choices on the type of sources that they use, and that's also why we're here to help.
So thanks a lot for your time. It was very interesting insights.
Thank you.
We had a lot of informations for you regarding library services, open access, scientific work, so many infos. And if you have still questions regarding this topic, then don't hesitate and write them down in the comments. We are so happy to hear from you, and I'm happy to see you in the next video.